the hairs on my body started standing on end.
Silent. Nothing there.
I fought to get back into my body.
You are going to be of vital importance of helping us convince the masses.
Type 471.
Type 471.
Bridge to the other world.
Bridge to the other world.
Welcome to Type 471. I'm Sam Kitchen. Today I'm speaking with Alan Woods, a man who has had experiences across what many people would believe are separate phenomena, but as we're learning lately, people who experience one phenomenon tend to experience another, and Alan is another one of those people. So I'm very interested to speak with Alan today. He's got some incredible experiences, and we're going to get into all of it. Alan Woods, thanks so much for being on Type 471. How you doing today?
All right, you're welcome. Doing fine. Very well.
Very good. So let's start at the beginning. You've mentioned kind of some I'll call it ghost phenomena. Let's start there with the beginning of your interactions with a non-physical being.
Okay, I do a lot of gold mining in my spare time, and I've seen, I guess you call them ghosts. Like one time outside of Wairika, I was metal detecting for some gold right at where a mine shaft was. And according to my eye, I saw it looked like an older gentleman with a beard, and had a red shirt on with dark blue jeans, looking right at me. And I guess he was probably at 40 or 50 feet away, something like that. Anyway, I kind of caught him with my peripheral vision, and I looked over that way, and then he wasn't there anymore. And for this person to be there, it would have to be probably, levitating 10 feet off the creek bed where I was. I was up on some tailings right near the creek. So I go back to metal detecting again, and I saw it again, and I kind of, am I really seeing this? And I wasn't looking at it directly again, just peripheral vision. And so, am I actually really seeing this? And then I looked over there, and it was gone again. And then the third time, it came back again. This is just all in a few minutes. It came back again, and this time I didn't look at it at all, and I just used my peripheral vision to get a really good kind of look at what this person was wearing or whatever it was. And then I talked to it a little bit, I think, and said, I'm just here just to find some gold or something. And then that was the end, and I never saw it again, and I've been back there several times. And then not too far from that area, there's another place that I was mining. I find some pretty nice nuggets with the metal detector, and I start smelling this like tobacco pipe smell, like a cherry, really pungent pipe smell or something, cigar smell, something like that. And I noticed that, and I've had it happen in the past, and I noticed it, and then I found some pretty nice gold after that. And then it happened again. About a month later, I went back up there. It happened again, and then same thing.
So when it happened again, you experienced this sweet pipe tobacco smell, and then you once again found more gold at that point?
Yes. And it happened to be in like one small area where this was happening at. There's some mine shafts there. So I took my wife up there because I had never taken her in there before. So I took her back in there, and same exact spot. I started mining, metal detecting, and then I smelled it again. And I asked her, I never found any gold before that day. I just started, and I asked her, do you smell something? And she says, yeah, I smell like a tobacco pipe or some kind of strong tobacco smell.
Oh.
And then I explained to her kind of what happened to me in the past there. And then it was probably 10 minutes after that, I found some more gold.
Wow. That's interesting. And this time you had confirmation from another party that there was this smell there. So it wasn't all just entirely, your experience. It was something objective happening.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and when I asked her if she smelled the same things, I never told her about what I was experiencing up there because I don't want her to, some people get kind of scared or freaked out about it or something and get worried. But that's why I wanted her to kind of. And then I told her about it, and then she was okay with it, and But
Right. Yeah. Now, it seems that given the gold mining and the sorts of interactions you've had, the sighting you had, and then the pipe tobacco smell, does this kind of indicate a particular time period to you?
yeah, I'm guessing probably back in the mining days, early mining periods. Usually it happens right where there's mine shafts at and where there's mining activity at, and that's kind of where I go. So,
Right.
and there I know I was going to tell you another time we were down by Clear Creek outside of Redding, and another mining area, and they hydraulic mine with water on the sides of this hill and left a ridge line probably about 30 feet wide. And my buddy, who really doesn't believe in any of this stuff, was down below at the beginning, down there on the lower part of it where the sluice boxes would have been at the bottom. And I was up on top of the ridge where it's 30 feet wide, metal detecting up there. And we were probably maybe 300, 400 yards from each other or something. And this is wide open, grassy area. So I was down there, I was metal detecting. And then probably after about 2 or 3 hours, we started talking. And he said, "Did you see those horses go by?" I said, "What horses?" And he goes, "These horses went right by me." He's like, "I didn't see them, but he said that, they went right by me and I could smell them and I could hear them. And they're going right up the ridge, right where you were standing, right where you were at up there." And I go, "Well, they have to run me over and for me to, miss them." Because I was right in that same area for a long period of time. So Dave is kind of like like I said, he kind of believes some stuff or not, but now he's starting to kind of believe some stuff. I haven't been telling him anything. He's kind of experiencing on his own, and so he's starting to believe some of it now. So
Wow, that's really interesting. So there's you having your experience, and then you bring your wife, and she independently confirms, and then you bring your friend up there, and he's having a completely uninformed experience just on his own. So
right,
wow. Uh, and these were in different areas. The first area you mentioned was near Wairika, and
yeah,
then in Siskiyou County, and then later it was in Shasta County. Uh,
correct.
so I wonder if it's
And
something.
I've had another. I mean, I had a mining claim up by the Trinity East Fork of the Trinity River up there, and I've even had somebody else with me that was up there, and we experienced where we were smelling, like coffee or bacon cooking or something like that. I grew up in that country, and there's no plants or anything around that smell like that. And this is the middle of nowhere. There's nobody camping anywhere near this place or anything. It's middle of nowhere, and so we, could smell stuff like that. So there's different times I've experienced different places.
What was it? Is there more about that one? Can we get it into a little bit more about what happened up there?
Yeah, we were. I was up there following up this creek up there, trying to figure out where the gold was coming from, and there's a bunch of rocks stacked up, and so I went up there, and I was panning and stuff, and found a couple pieces of small gold, and that evening we camped up there for 2 or 3 days, and that evening, we're down there by the creek. I could smell, like I said, the bacon or the coffee kind of together smell. And after about the second time, I think was when we tried mining up there, we still weren't finding very much. So the second time I smelled it, I actually talked to him and I just said, "Hey, we're up here just gold panning. We'd like to find some of your gold, and we really appreciate it if we could, help us find some some gold, some nice gold." And believe it or not, we found after that, I don't know if it has something to do with it or not, but we started finding lots of gold up there. Lots of gold. So we moved the dredge up there and we were easily finding a couple ounces a day.
Wow, and I really like that you spoke to them and asked permission, and just communicated your well intentions to them. I think that's a good idea. And across a number of phenomena, that seems to actually work. It kind of seems to be the key to having a beneficial experience.
Yeah, and I like I said, I'm really open. I kind of believe it if it happens to me. And I was going to tell you also that I found a spur just above the creek on a bench up there when I was metal detecting, and it has Spanish silver on it. And I still have it. And I'm not sure if it was from one of those guys or who it was from, but I had somebody from a museum look at the spur, and they told me that whoever lost that spur had quite a bit of money back then in the 1800s because of the silver engraving that's on it, Spanish silver.
Wow, nice.
So, yeah.
Do you have a picture of this? I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it.
All right, cool. Thanks. And it kind of seems that you have a particular affinity to that time period, do you not?
Yes, I do. I found out later on. I really like. I'm really into like the U.S. Cavalry back in those days, and I have a U.S. Cavalry tattoo on my arm, and really into that stuff. And one day I was at this chiropractor's office who is a Native American from Karuk tribe. I've been there a couple times, and then one day she said, wow, I really want to thank you. And I said, for what? And she goes, you opened up to me, and she told me that I was in the U.S. Cavalry during the Indian Wars, and that she could see me in the uniform. I mean, I believe in reincarnation and stuff. I don't know anything about my past, but I'm kind of leaning towards it's probably correct because I have horses and mules now. We pack and really into that kind of stuff.
It's a time period and a lifestyle that you're comfortable with. I'd be willing to bet that you did have a previous incarnation there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I was born remembering past lives. So I know how it works. That's really interesting. And I wonder if these gentlemen that you've encountered, the non-physical guys that you meet up there, I wonder if you've known them before.
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I know because there's a lot of people up here during the mining days, so I don't know. But somebody did tell me one time that there's somebody with me, and they described this person. And my family is a really broken family, and we're not close at all. And my mother is from Vienna, Austria, so she came over alone. And my father's mother and father, my grandmother and father, came over from Norway. So we had a really small family, so we really don't have any relatives in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But this person told me that there's somebody with me all the time, and described this person that was with me. And she said it felt like it was a relative. And I said, well, we don't have any relatives here in the U.S., just my brother, and he's still alive. So found out later on it could be of somebody from my past that I was in war with, or maybe in a cavalry with, or something like that, because this lady said that it was a very close contact, almost like it feels like a relative. But it would make sense, if it's part of my past and that person's with me.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes all kinds of sense. Wow. Okay. So what else have you experienced along those same lines?
Well, there was one other time I was about 8 years old, and we were renting this house, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I know that I saw it was a man and a woman, and they were holding hands, and they were about 3 feet off the ground, and I could only see just their upper torso, and they were like a gray and white. And the woman had longer hair, and the gentleman was wearing like a top hat, and he had like a suit on, like a kind of business suit or kind of dressed up suit. And they were both holding hands, looking right at me, probably 5 feet from the bed. And wherever they were, seems like it was windy because I could see her hair kind of blowing in the wind and their kind of clothes blowing in the wind. And I know that I was wide awake when I saw that, and I looked right at them. And then it probably lasted for maybe 15 seconds, and then that was it.
Did they just kind of disappear at that point?
Yeah, they seemed like they was gone, just vanished.
That's some pretty incredible stuff you've experienced.
Yeah.
I want to get into the Sasquatch stuff. Like, is there other non-Sasquatch related stuff?
No, that's just a couple of times of smelling other, like perfume or something like that, and then in December where nothing's blooming, in some of these places. But I think that's about it. I mean, I have stuff sometimes, but yeah. Anyway.
You seem to be a person who's, sensitive and prone to having these sorts of experiences, and it's great. This is a great thing, and more and more people seem to be, that kind of person, or we seem to be becoming more and more aware of people like you who have these experiences and who experience things across a broad spectrum of phenomena, and that also includes you. And you've experienced Sasquatch related events, and I'm very interested to hear about that. What was the first Bigfoot experience you had?
Well, the first one experience I had, I believe I was in high school, a sophomore. I wasn't driving yet, so it was about 1982. And a friend of mine from high school wanted to go past Lake Siskiyou up to, I think it's called Timber Lake up there. There's a couple of lakes up there, but Timber Lake is where we're going to go to for a few days. So we went up there, and his dad dropped us off at the trailhead. We hiked in there. The first night that we were there, we had a fire, and for some reason I got really scared. I mean, I could not explain to you how scared I was. There was no sound or anything. We didn't see anything or hear anything. It just felt like I was deathly afraid of something. I mean, I've never been that scared in my life. The hair was standing up on the back of my neck. I mean, if I could have got out of there, I would have got out of there. That's how scared I was. I mean, it just really really bothered me. And then, so we started putting more wood on the fire, make the fire bigger, and it kind of seemed to go away then. And then we ended up leaving a day early out of there. But it just, I didn't know what it was at the time. I couldn't explain it. I never really heard of, this Sasquatch. And I know a long time ago that film that they did in Bluff Creek or whatever that was. But I mean, I didn't know if I really believed that stuff or not, to be honest. And when that happened, I couldn't explain what happened. We're only people up there, and I can't explain why I was scared like that. I have no idea. But it does make sense later on, what happened after I, had more experiences.
Right. Yeah. And I can't wait to get into that. Some people think that they cause that fear response that you're referring to with infrasound. I mean, there's nothing else going on. You've got no visual stimuli. You have no auditory stimuli. You're not aware of anything happening that is making you afraid, and yet you're afraid. And some people believe that is caused with sound that is below the human audible level. It's like outside the range of human hearing. But yeah, some people think they use infrasound to somehow cause that fear response in us.
Do they do that to try to scare you away from the area, or I mean, what is it?
Well, yeah, to scare you away from the area, yeah, just to kind of protect themselves. And other animals do it as well. It's not entirely speculative because it's known in the natural world. So it's a reasonable speculation that they may in fact do that, and there's such large beings with such a huge lung capacity, they could make all kinds of sounds. Yeah, there's strong reason to believe that they do make sounds that are outside of the human range of hearing. So yeah, that's interesting. It seems like they would have been aware of you and, didn't like the fact that you were there, and they were just trying to freak you out a little bit, it sounds like.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I've never experienced that myself. I've never experienced that fear that people get. So, I mean, maybe one day I will, but I'm curious about it. But like, if it ever actually happens, I'm going to be pissing my pants, I'm sure.
Well, I've never went back up there again, and I don't even want to look at the map of that area. I just stay away from that area.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to do with that area.
Man, that's saying something. I mean, you're a pretty tough guy. I've gotten to know you a little bit. You don't seem like someone who scares easily to me. And I mean, for you to be so freaked out by this experience, when you didn't even see or actually hear anything, I mean, that's saying something, like that's an effective technique they have for scaring people off.
Right, right.
Wow. All right. So what comes next?
So next, it was had to be 1980, about 1983. I remember where I was driving then, and my buddy and I from Mount Shasta were down by Lake Siskiyou, which is where the golf course is now. Before they built that golf course, it was just an open grassy field out there, and we were quail hunting out there, and we're both walking together and kind of talking, and I right in front of me, I saw something walking away from me, and it was very tall. It was, I'm guessing, 7 foot tall. I was a little bit higher than it was because I'm up on kind of a rise, and it was down below me by these willows, walking through these willows, walking away from me. About at least 7 foot tall, really long hair, kind of brownish, brown colored hair, maybe a little bit of a red to it, walking away. And I remember I looked down and I looked back up again. I still saw it. And I'm like, am I really seeing this? And then I looked at my buddy and he looks at me at the same time. And we look back again and we're looking at it. And then it just vanished. It was really weird. It just disappeared.
As you were looking at it, it just kind of was gone. Like you didn't look away and it was gone, but as you were looking at it, it was there and then it was gone.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
And this is something that I really want to focus on. This is important. People are reporting this all over the place, and I'm sure you've heard the theories that people have about it. Some people think that they're interdimensional. Some people believe that they cloak themselves, like somehow make themselves invisible. So there are various schools of thought on what is happening in those moments when they just phase out and just kind of disappear in front of your eyes. But whatever it is, something is happening. I mean, there's something there that we need to understand. And I've experienced kind of a counterpart to that, or something that I feel is a counterpart to that. Even though it has not happened in relation to a visual sighting, sometimes when they're around, they're around and you can feel them, and then other times it feels like there's nobody around, and it feels a little too much like there's nobody around. And I've gone into this on the show before, so I'm not going to go into all of it, but I have pointed out, and I want to point out again, that there is some precedent for this in human history. Like, as I've pointed out before, the ninja warriors of feudal Japan used to make themselves as stone, meaning that they would kind of concentrate on the energies of stone or inanimate objects in their environment for the purpose of masking their energies from their enemies, from their approaching enemies, so that no one would be able to feel their presence. And I wonder if the Sasquatch do that as well. And I wonder if that may be a counterpart to the visual aspect of what's going on when people see them disappear in front of their eyes. It just seems like it may be all intertwined and related and connected somehow with something that they're doing to kind of get you off their trail. I don't know what's going on, but it's interesting, and I really want to understand. So this individual, it didn't just disappear behind some willows, did it?
No,
All
no,
right.
because the willows were sparse. They're sparse willows, and like I said, and it was just open field, and it was gone. And so we sat there for a few minutes. I don't know how long we sat there for, but stood there for a little while, and then decided that we're going to go down there and go see how tall it was, and we could kind of determine how tall the willows were and where it went by, because they're really sparse willows, and it opened up in the grass again. And anyway, and I couldn't understand, and not until I talked to you, I still couldn't understand or fathom how something physical like that. You see, it's like you see somebody walking down the street. You're seeing something physical for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden that person's gone. Now, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Like you're like talking to you. I mean, back it's until I talked to you, I really kind of forgot about this stuff. So I really don't want to talk about it. But I just couldn't wrap my mind around how something like that could have happened. And I know that it was just gone. It didn't just walk over the hill. It was just gone. If people are seeing them, like I saw one, and people are seeing them, then how can they just disappear like that? It doesn't, I just, yeah. Anyway, it's something to kind of learn to understand.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm kind of like WTF about the whole thing. On the one hand, we know for a fact that they are whatever else they may be. We know that they're a physical being with physical needs. They leave footprints. They, they eat. They are very preoccupied with feeding themselves because they're so large. They have to consume so many calories in a day. So, I mean, we know that they have mundane practical needs and concerns, but then at the same time, they can also just completely vanish in front of your eyes. So, I don't understand it. I want to understand it, and I want everybody to understand it because I think it's kind of a next step in terms of our understanding of things. I think it's important. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Something is happening. So but like it goes way back into the native traditions, the native accounts of their encounters, and they've been reporting the same thing for hundreds of years. People say that they walk in both worlds. They walk in both the physical world and the spirit world. So whatever it is, I would like to get to the bottom of it. I don't have any answers for you, but it's a great experience that you had. You mentioned that it was dark brown. If we could focus on every single aspect of its appearance, what did it look like?
Oh, I'm trying to remember back. It was like a dark brown, long hair. I'm guessing the hair was probably 5 inches long, 6 inches long, something like that. Pretty long hair.
Yeah.
Long arms, very long arms. They kind of swayed by its side as it was walking away. Like I said, I didn't see its face or anything, just the back of it. And I really couldn't disseminate between a head and its body. You know what I mean? It just seemed like because it's all hair, like longer hair. So you could see its shoulders and you could see its head there, but you didn't have a neck. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. It didn't seem like it had a neck. Big hands. That's about all I could really say about it. I mean, like I said, I didn't see it from the front, but.
Right. Well, that's a pretty compelling description right there. So this was in kind of a willowy area. Were there wetlands around?
No, just a kind of a dried swale of a creek bed, kind of not even really a creek bed, just kind of a little draw. So, I mean, just a couple little willow trees.
So I was going to ask if you looked for footprints. I'm gathering that you didn't.
Yeah, we went down there and we kind of looked right where the willow trees were, and we could see where it stepped and bent the grass down, and then we just got out of there. I haven't anything to do with it anymore, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. So what comes next in the Sasquatch experiences?
Yeah, so then another time we were by Lake Siskiyou. Over toward the Toe Lake area side, and we were I think it was in high school then. We were middle of the night, we're up there drinking beer, and there was probably 4 or 5 of us up there drinking beer and stuff, and we heard a loud wail of a scream. I mean, it was really loud, and once we heard that, I've never heard it before. I mean, I've been in the mountains all my life, and see mountain lions and stuff and screams, but this was just something completely different. It was a very loud yell, and everybody just kind of tried to get in the pickups, and we got inside there, and then I was sitting there and had a beer, and I was kind of like, yeah, I know what this is, and you can ask any one of those people, and I'm sure they still remember about that night and hearing that sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we left right after that. We left that area. So,
yeah.
And it was a blood-curdling scream. It was loud.
If you had to compare it to some other sound that you've heard, what does it most closely resemble?
Oh, it's kind of hard to explain. I know mountain lions are really shrieky, sound. This is more of a, um, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain kind of what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like a ooh kind of a sound.
Aha. Okay. Well, that helps a lot, actually. That's kind of reported all the time. And as a matter of fact, okay, so when it goes, does it go up? Like, did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It went like ooh, really loud.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. Someone reported that to me in Southern Oregon recently. It seems that there are different calls that are kind of regional, like regional dialects. And it seems like that is kind of one of the calls that people hear around this area, around the Siskiyous, around, Siskiyou County in Southern Oregon. That's very interesting. That's, like a key detail right there. I'm glad you mentioned that. So it goes up and up and up and just gets super loud. How far away do you feel like it was?
Oh, I don't know, probably 500 yards or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was close, but it was loud. So I'm not sure, how loud their voices can get, but it seemed like it definitely knew we were there.
Yeah, they can get so unbelievably loud, like louder than you would even possibly think. So it's difficult to gauge, loudness versus distance. All you know is that it's super loud. So, I mean, how loud are they compared to how far away they are? So I think I understand what you mean. Like, it's difficult to gauge exactly where it would have been, but yeah, it was loud and close. I think we've narrowed it down to that much. So what happens next?
So my last experience, it was about 1991, because I was on leave from the Navy at the time. I got in the Navy in '93, and took a couple weeks off to go bow hunting deer, and I went down North Shore at Lake Siskiyou and parked a car right where the main road on Lake Siskiyou, North Shore. We parked the car right there, and there's a road that goes up the hill, up in the timber, and kind of towards Morgan Meadow area. And we walked up there, and it's in the late afternoon, evening, and we were walking up there looking for deer and there's some oaks and stuff. So we walked up the hill and didn't see any deer up there. And then we're starting to see the sun starting to setting, behind Lake Siskiyou there. So we started coming down the hill, and we noticed by looking on the road, there was these flat footprints, and they looked like a human footprint, and they were flat and they were huge. And they were walking the same direction we were walking. So it was coming up behind us, and we could clearly see him because the way the sun was setting, it was reflecting off of this flat, you got powdery dirt road, and you got this flat footprint right on it. And right when we saw it, we knew right where it was. We knew what it was automatically. We never saw it. We don't know where it went after it came up behind us, but we definitely saw the footprints. And it came up after we were up there, it seemed like. So we saw those, and then we just kind of hurried kind of back down the hill and got back down in the car. And we got in the car, and we're sitting there for a few minutes, just kind of thinking, is that really what we saw? Where do you think it's at up there? Maybe we should drive up there? And just, you start thinking. And then all of a sudden, we heard this loud scream coming the same direction we just came down that hill from. It was a different type of scream. This time it was like a really high pitched scream. I mean, it just scared the tar out of us. I mean, it really just scared the crap out of us, and we got the hell out of there and just left.
Yeah.
And I've never been back to that place ever again.
Wow. These are some pretty powerful experiences you've had.
Yeah, and when I question myself, I'm like, why am I experiencing this stuff? I mean, why is it me? Why am I experiencing this? And I really, to be honest with you, I don't want to experience it anymore. I really don't. I have kind of a curiosity, but I really don't. I've been scared enough from whatever this thing is, and I don't want to experience it anymore or go back to those areas. I mean, like, if you talk me into it, we could go back there with you, but I really don't want to go back there.
Yeah, well, I do want to talk you into it.
Yeah,
because I want you to take me there.
Yeah, and it's something will probably happen.
Mm-hmm. Good. That's what I'm counting on.
And I think that I've been up in the mountains a lot of times since then, and and haven't experienced anything like that again. I know that outside of Trinity Center, I was telling you that a friend of mine were up there in the timber, doing some timber work up there, and this was about 2000. And he called me on the radio. His name was Bob, and he's from out Shasta. Anyway, he's calling me on the radio. He said, "You need to get over here right now," and told me where he's at. And I'm like, "I'm right in the middle of nowhere," and he wanted me there right now. And he wouldn't tell me what it was over the radio, what was happening. So I had to hike back to the truck, got in the truck, got there as fast as I could, and he was sitting in his truck, and he would not get out of his truck. So then I asked him, I said, "What's going on, Bob?" And he goes, "Look on the side of that hill over there." And there was a side of a hill, it was really duffy. And I walked over there, and I could see where something was sunk in the dirt walking across that hill. And it had big footprints, what I could tell. You couldn't distinguish that there was footprints there, but you could see where something pushed way down in the duff. Whatever it was really heavy, extremely heavy, walking on the side of that hill. It wasn't far from his truck at all. And he just said, he didn't want to talk about it. And I said, "Well, I don't think it's a bear because the bears have a round footprint. This is a long feet, whatever it was, and it is in a line, almost in the line, a little bit offset." So anyway, he really didn't want to talk about it. And then that night, we were staying there in Trinity Center. That night, I got him a couple beers, and then he told me, he says he was looking at a map, and he said it was Sasquatch. And I said, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "It was Sasquatch." And he said, "I know what I saw." And I believe Bob. He's not wouldn't lie to me or make something up like that or anything else. I mean, he was definitely sure it was Sasquatch. And when that happened that day, he went home right after that. And then that night when I was talking to him, after he had a couple of beers, I told him my experience up by Timber Lake, and his eyes got big, and he experienced something up there by Timber Lake also in the same exact area that I was in.
No kidding.
Yeah, he just said that he saw something go through the brush and looked like he said it was a Sasquatch. And I said, "What did it look like?" And it was a Sasquatch. So, and it's hard to get anything out of him, to talk.
Yeah, he sounds pretty tight-lipped about it.
And he doesn't really want to tell anybody about, like myself, because people out there don't believe you and you think you're crazy. There's something wrong with you. You're crazy. You should be locked up. And after I started talking about to you about my experiences, I completely didn't want to talk about it or anything. I just don't want to tell anybody any experience about it or really remember back of what I experienced.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's unsettling. I mean, your experiences have been very scary for you. I understand that. You mentioned why me, and it comes back to that, whatever it is, that sensitivity or that awareness that makes certain people susceptible to these types of experiences. Like when a person experiences a ghost or a UFO, chances are they've also experienced a Sasquatch or, some other experience. So there seems to be a certain consciousness that goes along with it that people have that make them more prone to these kinds of experiences. And I certainly don't blame you for not wanting to have the experience again. But the corresponding consciousness and awareness and sensitivity, that is something that you want to keep. That's something that, is a good thing that, you want to cultivate and hold on to, even if you don't want to have these kinds of experiences, which I don't blame you for not wanting to have them.
Yeah, and I was talking to you about, we had a really bad horse wreck. It was July 5th, I think is when it was, in this one area. And I was talking to you a little bit about what happened.
Right.
Our horses, we rode in that area before and kind of felt like something's watching you or something. You just feel like there's something kind of out of place or, or something. But that day, the horses completely lost it, bucked us off. Wife got hurt. Horses took off down the road. My mule took off down the road and they were gone. And that evening, I had a lady from Scott Valley message me, and she said, "I heard what happened. I'm sorry to hear what happened," but she said that the same thing happened to my husband at the exact same place a few years ago. And then I was like, why would that happen in the exact same place in the parking lot at that trailhead? Why would it happen in the same place? And the same thing happened. He got bucked off and they took off running. The only difference was we were on our way in, and her and her husband were on their way out when it happened.
Okay, so where had they come from?
They were coming from Fox Lake.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Fox Creek Lake.
Oh, okay. So they came from that creek, and I've looked at the area you're talking about on Google Earth. I can I can tell you right now that it matches the natural features match other areas where there are heavy Sasquatch activity, and it has those natural features that tell me yes, there very probably are Sasquatches right here in this area. And Fox Creek Lake is uphill from the trailhead that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they had come out of the Fox Creek Lake area down to the trailhead, and then that's when that happened. Okay. So that's an important detail. And yours happened while you were on the way in, so you hadn't actually been anywhere yet.
No, exactly. We're still at the horse trailers.
Okay.
And then we ride all the time. That mule that I was on that day, I rode that mule 300 miles last summer, just during the summer, all over the Marble Mountains. That mule's been all over the place. So, I mean, we're a very horse experience. And for some reason, they just came uncorked. And we didn't hear anything. There was no cars anywhere. We didn't hear anything. There's nobody around. There was not during hunting. There was nothing. And they just come uncorked and bucked us off and took off.
That is amazing. What I'm thinking now is that I wonder if there is something below that trailhead that is the trigger, or that is the spot where they're living, is really what I'm getting at. I mean, that trailhead is kind of just above, what's the town called again?
No, Callahan.
Callahan, yeah. I knew it started with a C. So it's right above Callahan. So I'm wondering if there's an area below the trailhead, because the lady who you mentioned who had the same experience, she had been coming out of the Fox Creek Lake area, and her horses were seemingly fine during that time. It's when they got to the trailhead itself that this happened, and your experience also happened right there at the trailhead. So I'm wondering if it's something outside of the Fox Creek Lake area, because it kind of goes up into this kind of crater type area that has lakes, and those are part of the natural features that seem to be in common with these Sasquatch experiences in this area. But her horses were fine up there, so I'm wondering if it's something outside of that area, kind of an adjacent or related area that's near that trailhead, but not the Fox Creek Lake area itself.
Right.
You got my wheels turning a little bit.
Yeah, and I know that would make sense, because usually when you come back from a ride, your horses are tired. They don't want to take the energy to buck or do anything stupid like that.
Right.
And she said the same thing. There's nobody around. They just came back to the trucks and then bucked her husband off. And after that happened, he never rode horse or mule ever again. And he was on her mule, which is a very experienced mule, an older mule that had lots of experience in the mountains up in the Marble Mountain area. So, and I know down below that, I've looked down that hill before, and it's pretty heavy timbered, and there's some deep creeks down in that area. And I don't know if any road down there. It'd have to be quite a ways away, I guess, down below that. But I never went down there. I never had a reason to go down below that trailhead.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you told me what it looks like down there, because that is very telling, very thick timber and creeks. And they do seem to spend a lot of time in the creek bottoms below these crater-like areas that I mentioned. So that, in fact, that is very similar to another experience that I'm familiar with in the Marble Mountains. So, yeah, this is, part of a pattern, and it makes total sense now. I'm glad you mentioned to me what the geography is like down there. Huh. That's interesting. I want to back up for a minute. When you were talking about the footprints that you and your friend had found, I want to get the timing down, because you felt like maybe it had followed you in there. I want to the timing of the footprints relative to when you got in there, and I just want to lay out the chronology of that event a little bit more.
Well, we went in there. Of course, we didn't see footprints going in there.
Right.
Going in there, we only in there for the road goes up and it turns to the right, and we went off to the right down a little ways, and then we were turning around and coming back out. We were only in there 45 minutes max. We were in there. It's not that far of a walk back up that hill and off to the right. It's not that far.
Okay, so you had been in there and then you came back. I just want to make sure I'm understanding properly. You came back out and then you saw the footprints. Is that what happened?
Yes, as we were coming down the hill heading toward the car, we were looking at the sun was right in our eyes, was setting behind Lake Siskiyou. This had to be in late August, early September, because that's when archery season is for deer in that area. And anyway, we were coming back, and we saw these flat footprints on the road, and like I said, they were headed like the same direction we were going in. So we were coming down, they were going the opposite direction.
Right.
And we were looking right at them, and I got a good look at them.
Yeah, that's very interesting and pretty bold. It tells me that he wanted you to see his footprints and he wanted you to see that, he was coming after you. And then when you came back down, you heard that scream from the top where you had been. So that it sounds very much like he was making his presence known to you.
Yeah. And then the guy that I was with, I forgot to mention the guy that I was with that day, his name's Jay. He was with me on 3 of those 4 experiences that I've had. So he was with me that day during archery season that we saw the footprints. He was with me the day that we saw the Sasquatch when we were quail hunting. And he was with me the night that we heard the screaming on the other side of Lake Siskiyou.
Wow.
And it really affected him because now I think it really affected him emotionally. He just, I don't think he really ever recovered from it.
Yeah, you've mentioned that to me before, like it really impacted him. Yeah, well, I just wonder if maybe he's another sensitive person like you, and if he's had a broad array of experiences like you have. It's just more to the mystery, I guess.
Yeah.
You did mention that you're going to take me out to these places, and I'm going to hold you to that for sure. So
okay.
Just get it over with, like rip off the Band-Aid.
Right.
Right. All right, cool. Well, we're in the last few minutes of the show, Alan. So, yeah, when do you want to do this? When do you want to go out there?
Within the next couple of weeks, we could go out there. And I haven't been to that one road it's been a number of years, but I'm sure I could probably find it.
All right.
Down there. Might have to drive around a little bit to find it, but I'm sure I can find it once I notice it, because it's when you're on North Shore Road, it's a road off to your right that goes up toward Morgan Meadow, and there's an opening right there, like a grassy opening, and then there's heavy timber right on the other side of the grassy opening on the uphill side. So I mean, I remember it distinctly now that I'm thinking about it, but I'm sure I can find it again. I just don't know exactly what road it is, but it won't take long to find it.
Right. It sounds like this must be an old fire road or something.
Yeah, I think it's the old road that goes up to there's some mines back in there. I'm not sure if that's the road that has the mines on it or if that's the back road. There's a back road that goes up to Morgan Meadows through there, but it's a real rough 4-wheel drive ATV road, and it might be on that one, but I don't remember. So
all right. Well, that tells me that you need to do the driving at any rate.
Yes.
Cool. Well, there's this emerging mystery having to do with that general area, and it involves, these crater areas, the water, of course, and it involves mines a lot. Like someone told me about a cave in that same general mountain range that is visible from a certain town in that area. And this person was warned to never go into that cave because there are things living there that no one has a name for. And these things were known to be dangerous. I have no description of these things other than that, like these things that nobody has a name for, and that they're dangerous. Surprisingly enough, later on, like a couple weeks after I first heard about this, somebody else confirmed this for me. Somebody else had heard the same thing. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. There were things living in this cave, and nobody knows what to call them. So there's just, and that's in the same general mountain range that you're talking about, and it's around gold mines, and so there's this huge enigma going on, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, and maybe when we go out there to those areas you're describing, maybe that will provide a little insight and take us one step closer to understanding.
That'd be good.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out there.
Hopefully, I still have the whatever I have that brings it in. We experienced it,
I'm willing to bet that you do.
And maybe I haven't had another experience like that because I haven't been back to those areas.
That could be. That is also very possible. Yeah, I wonder if going back there might just kind of reinvigorate the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really not looking forward to going back there. I'll do it with you, but like I said, I'm really not looking forward to going back there and seeing anything or hearing anything or anything else. I guess it kind of helped me understand it a little bit more, but there's no way I'm gonna become a Sasquatch hunter or anything from my experiences.
Yeah, I know. I really understand that you're not really like eager for it, but I appreciate you being willing to take me out there. So I do want to understand that more though. I know that these experiences were scary for you. And I guess that in itself could be reason enough for you not to want to do that. Is there any part of you that just kind of thinks that it's so fascinating that, the fascination and the need to know kind of trumps other things? It seems like you don't feel that way.
No, I mean, yeah, I have kind of I want to learn a little more of what's going on, but it seems like my experiences have been bad experiences. And, it's not like it came out and asked me if I want some fruit or that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anything like that. It seemed like bad. And I think as from the very beginning, when I heard that night when I felt whatever it was that scared me up at Timber Lake, maybe that's why I've had bad experiences. But I've told myself before, and I've actually said it out loud, that I don't want anything to do with whatever's out there. And I really don't want to ever see it again, experience it. Because if I go out, I want to enjoy the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to think that I'm going to see something like this and it's going to, because like, I think what I'm trying to say is, I know it's probably not going to run out and attack me, or anything like that, but I know that it can do something to just petrify you and scare the crap out of you. And there's really nothing you can do, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. In other words, you don't like the helplessness of it. You are totally vulnerable. If it wants to do something to you, it can do it. Is that the part that freaks you out? Yeah.
Yeah. And I spent 23 years in the military. I've had 4 combat tours, and I wasn't during all that time. And once I got out, I was not nearly as scared as my military tour as I was when those experiences with whatever it is, the Sasquatch.
Damn. Man, doesn't that say so much about the power of this experience? Man, that's incredible. I mean, 4 combat tours, you were never as scared as you were, in these moments in the woods. That is so powerful. That's such a powerful thing to say, and it says so much about this experience. And I hope that everyone who has never encountered a Sasquatch, I hope that that sinks in, because that's the kind of powerful experience that we're talking about here. Man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to getting out there. Alan, you have had all kinds of amazing experiences. You're one of those people who is sensitive to this. And that's where I'm trying to get somewhere with that, with this area of inquiry and of understanding people such as yourself. And I don't have the answers right at hand, but I'm very glad that you took the time to speak with me today and that you opened up about these things that are not easy for you to talk about or even think about. So I really appreciate that. And Alan Woods, thank you so much for being on Type 471 today and sharing your experiences. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. And I look forward to going out to those spots soon.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, you take care.
You too.
Look for Type 471 Podcast on the platform of your choosing. If you want to connect with me on social media, just look for Type 471 Podcast and you're going to find me. Also, be sure to check out the Type 471 Podcast YouTube channel. Please be sure to like and subscribe. If you would like to discuss your paranormal experiences with me, feel free to reach out to me. Email me at type471podcast@gmail.com. I'm Sam Kitchen. Thanks for listening to Type 471.